I was about to leave work early and go to the hospital due to a sudden bout of gastritis. Just as I was leaving the lab, my husband's childhood sweetheart and assistant, Ashley, looked at me wistfully. "Grace, aren't you going to wait for me? It's all my fault for being born so unlucky, I can't even afford a car." I felt a knot in my throat. Clutching my stomach, I pushed her away. "My stomach hurts. Just take a taxi back yourself." When I got home after being on an 4-drip for most of the night, Ethan was sitting on the sofa, his face cold. "Do you have any idea that the reagent leaked, and she was covered in bloodstains when she ran out of the lab?" I was taken aback, but I calmly explained, "Impossible. Lab procedures are strictly followed, and besides, there were other people present at the time." He lowered his head and chuckled softly. "Oh, is that so?" But the next day, as soon as I entered the lab, I found that no one else had come. Meanwhile, Ethan stood outside the door, holding Ashley, his face grim. "Since lab procedures are so strict, why don't you enjoy them thoroughly?" With that, the iron door slammed shut. He pressed a remote control, and smoke instantly filled the entire lab. Strange images flashed in my mind, and the roars of wild beasts grew clearer and clearer in my ears. All the monitors instantly lit up, and my miserable appearance was broadcast on a dark web live stream. In a moment of clarity, I dialed a phone number. "You've won again. Aren't you coming to get me, or do you want to collect my corpse?" Ethan sat upright on the sofa, eating fruit slices Ashley fed him, all while enjoying the insults directed at me on the dark web. To mentally break me, Ethan even turned on all the lab screens, forcing me to witness my own miserable state firsthand. Isn't that the genius scientist Grace? Given how she usually looks down on people, who would have thought she'd end up like this today? Who else in the world would dare treat her like this? RT. Hey crazy? To the commenter above, needless to say, it must be the husband she forced into marriage using her power. What's the fun in just hallucinations? I heard eternity has gathered the most complete collection of mutated species in the world. Why don't we see who's stronger, Grace or those beasts she researches day and night? Ashley sat on Ethan's lap, pointing at the comments with a radiant smile. "Ethan, I think their suggestion is quite interesting. Grace is so devoted to her research, isn't she? I'm sure she'd want to sacrifice herself for science. Why don't you grant her wish?" Ethan chuckled softly. "Don't worry, Ashley. She'll have to pay back tenfold for all the suffering you've endured." Ashley frowned. "Ethan, have you really fallen in love with her? If so, I might as well just die and stop being an eyesore to you and Grace." As I continuously inhaled the smoke, the drug's effects gradually kicked in. My brain throbbed as if it were being sawed back and forth by a chainsaw, and distorted, deathly pale faces appeared before my eyes. The whole world was filled with terrifying wails and howls, and I cowered in fear in a corner. Occasionally, I had a moment of clarity, and clutching the iron bars, I asked Ethan, my voice raw with anguish, "Why? Why are you doing this to me?" Ethan played with the remote control in his hand. "You have the nerve to ask why? Yesterday, Ashley was 100 times worse off than you are now. It seems the dosage isn't enough, you still show no remorse." Remorse? Was I wrong? If I made a mistake, my only one in this life was falling for Ethan, who had nothing, amidst a group of old money families. I even secretly changed my research results to his name just to get him into our professor's lab. Even though I knew he had a childhood sweetheart back home he couldn't let go of, I still persuaded my parents to build this lab for him and married him against all odds. I never imagined back then that the lab I designed, Detail B. Y Detail, would be my undoing. As if suddenly remembering something terrifying, Ashley, frightened and distraught, hid in Ethan's arms. "Don't come near me, don't come near me. I beg you, Grace, please, don't kill me. I wasn't trying to steal Ethan from you. I'll leave right away, just don't kill me." Her sudden incoherent words seemed to confirm my guilt. "Grace, you're still trying to deny it. These hallucinogens only amplify the fear in one's heart. If you hadn't threatened Ashley, how would she be seeing these things?" Ashley's eyes were vacant as she clutched Ethan's lapel. "Ethan, don't blame Grace. She just loves you too much. It's all my fault. Blame me for loving you. It's my fault." As soon as she spoke, Ethan's heart ached even more for her. He gently kissed away the tears from her eyes. That tenderness, as if he held her in his palm, fearing she'd break, or in his mouth, fearing she'd melt, still stung my eyes. "You're just too kind, that's why she, that vicious woman, bullies you. Since she dared to bully you, she'll have to be able to bear my wrath. Grace, you always used to rely on your resources and family fortune, treating others as less than human. Now that your family's fortunes are ruined and you can only rely on me, you're still so arrogant. It's time to humble your arrogance. 2. Treating others as less than human? My relationship with my colleagues is friendly. I considered him the love of my life, and I donated half my income to a rural elementary school. And all I got in return was his accusation that I treat people as less than human. With that, he waved his hand, and a hypnotist appeared in my sight. The smoke in the lab turned a deep blood red. Under the dual influence of hypnosis and hallucinogens, the sound of the pendulum ball pulsed like drums in my ears. Each beat hammered heavily on my heart. The smoke in front of me cleared, revealing 2 cars that had collided. A large truck was parked directly on the roadside, and a car lay smashed every which way. The people in the car were thrown out, their limbs shattered, so mangled that not even a complete human form could be pieced together. I shrieked hoarsely, "Daniel, Emily, no!" Suddenly, flames erupted everywhere, and dark blood continuously seeped from my body. Fire crawled all over me, following the bloodstains, and the smell of my charred internal organs filled the air. Like a madwoman, I cried loudly and laughed wildly at the same time. When the drumbeats reached their peak, I kept tearing at my hair, and even my clothes were ripped to shreds, barely covering my private parts. I could no longer distinguish between reality and illusion. My brain felt like it was about to explode. Ashley's delicate cries began. "Ethan, Grace got this scared without even bleeding, but yesterday when I came out, I was covered in bloodstains." Alarm bells went off in my head. Clutching my head, I tried to overcome the effects of the hallucinogens while defending myself. What does this have to do with me? If you hadn't followed lab procedures, how would the hallucinogen have leaked? Furthermore, there were no traces of the reagent leaking at all. I suddenly thought of something and shouted hoarsely, desperately hoping Ethan would hear, "You're lying. You weren't even trapped in the lab. You weren't hallucinating at all. Ethan, believe me. Go check. There was no hallucinogen leak in the lab yesterday. Ashley is lying, she's lying." Ethan pinched his eyebrows, then spoke coldly, "Grace, it seems I've spoiled you too much. You've forgotten that Ashley is my bottom line." "That's true. You rich kids have never known hardship since you were young. How could you possibly understand the suffering of those from humble beginnings like us?" Back then, I visited professors again and again for him, drank with sponsors repeatedly to get funding for his project, to the point where I later suffered a perforated stomach. I didn't even care as much about my own family business as I did about him, yet now, all I get in return is an accusation that I don't understand his suffering. Before marriage, I was the proudest rose in capital city, an untouchable darling of heaven. After marriage, under his repeated criticisms, I began to become cautious, afraid of saying the wrong thing and hurting his ego. My constant support, in his eyes, became me not understanding him. With that, he pressed the remote control button. Mechanical arms continuously emerged from the walls, and the sound of breaking glass, shattering like thunder, was piercing. Every step I took, glass shards would pierce an inch into the soles of my feet. The ground was covered in glass fragments, there was nowhere to step. Ashley, hiding in Ethan's arms, pretended to plead for me, "Ethan, Grace's feet are bleeding from the cuts. Maybe that's enough." Then she suddenly changed her tone, "Otherwise, if she gets out, she'll just blame me for not stopping you." Hearing this, Ethan became even more convinced that I often secretly bullied Ashley. "My silly Ashley, your kindness and understanding only make my heart ache. How could this vicious woman bring herself to bully you? If she's not punished, she won't learn her lesson, so don't plead for her anymore. She's just acting. They're just a few bottles, couldn't she just dodge them? She just wants to get my attention." There was more and more glass on the ground, and looking around, all I could see was the reflection from the glass surfaces. I had no room to dodge at all. The glass shards were mixed with grease, and the moment I wasn't careful, I fell into the pile of glass. The glass shards cut my exposed skin, and excruciating pain shot through the wounds. Even the blood that flowed out turned dark black. These weren't ordinary glass containers at all. These glass bottles were clearly soaked in scorpion venom. My body began to go numb, my heart beat faster and faster. I clutched my head and kept banging it against the wall, trying to stay conscious. Picking up the pen on the table, I harshly stabbed my ring finger. The pain was excruciating, but it bought me a moment of clarity. People in the comments kept coming up with ideas to torment me in various creative ways. Hey, our boss just tipped 10 million. He wants to see Grace fight a mutated dog. My boss tipped 10 million and 100,000. He wants to see Grace cosplay Leakawan. I'm tipping 10 million and 200,000. Throw into a wolf den. With trembling hands, I used the only intact fingerprint on my smartwatch to unlock it and dialed a phone number. You've won again. Aren't you coming to get me, or do you want to collect my corpse? The comments suddenly changed tone. From a stream of insults directed at me, threats against Ethan continuously poured in. Ethan, if you don't stop now, I guarantee you won't see tomorrow's sun. Dare to harm my person, and I'll make you pay back 100-fold. The hypnotist continuously swung the pendulum in his hand, the drumbeats grew loud again, and my eyes were bloodshot, as if they might explode at any moment. Ethan looked down at me condescendingly. Grace, have you learned your lesson? I gritted my teeth, staring intensely at him. I'm not wrong, Ethan. I'll make you pay the price. If I still held any hope for Ethan moments ago, now I felt nothing but utter hatred for him. I never imagined in my life that the one who hurt me the most deeply would be the person I loved the most. Money can indeed buy love, but only if you don't give a man status and freedom, and don't elevate him to great heights. My mistake was elevating Ethan higher than myself, giving him the power to undermine me. He subtly tugged at the corner of his mouth, then clapped his hands and cheered like a madman. Grace, you're quite something. Do you really think you can stay high and mighty forever? I'm going to drag you down from your pedestal. I'm going to make you kneel on the ground like a dog, admit your mistake to me, and beg for mercy. I imagine you'd be quite willing to contribute to the lab. After all, you love this place more than anyone. No sooner had he spoken than the door behind the wall suddenly opened. 2 robots came forward and dragged me away like a corpse. After leaving the hallucination room, my mind suddenly cleared. The pain in my body gradually intensified, and the wounds from the scorpion venom-soaked glass shards pulsed with needle-like pain. My heart beat faster and faster. If this dragged on and the scorpion venom reached my heart, I would surely die. This lab was built by me for Ethan, and it was also my brainchild. I knew every path within it perfectly. The further inside, the thicker the doors became, only because highly mutated specimens were kept within. Ethan's cold voice came. Grace, who do you think is crazier, the mutated dog or you? Fear enveloped my entire body. The door to the room with the sign giant dog suddenly opened, and I was violently thrown inside. By the time I reacted, I was already facing the mutated dog's eyes. Those eyes, like a bloodthirsty demon's, stared intensely at me. Its front paws continuously scraped the ground, getting ready to attack. The mutated dog opened its gaping maw. Its teeth inside were 10 centimeters long, and just one bite could rip off my head. The comments gradually went wild. Fellow gamblers, why don't we bet on whether Grace dies first or the dog dies first? For as soon as the suggestion was made, the comments instantly flooded the screen. Is there even a need to bet? Anyone with a brain can see it's definitely the woman who dies. Exactly. I'll bet 5 million on Grace dying. I'll bet 10 million, if Grace doesn't die, I'm a dog. I'll bet 20 million, Grace is sure to die. We're really living the good life now. Who would have thought we'd one day witness the death of a genius scientist on this dark web? Ashley watched the continuously appearing numbers in the comments, swallowing her saliva. Ethan, as expected of Grace, the stakes are really high. Ethan, why don't we place a bet too? Anyway, it's in our hands, whether she lives or dies is up to you. Ethan's face suddenly darkened. Ashley, I promised to punish her, but I didn't say I wanted her dead. Ashley was startled by his sudden change of expression, then said awkwardly, I'm sorry, Ethan, I didn't mean that. But couldn't truly bear to scold her. He quickly pecked her cheek and said, it's fine. Today's goal is to make you happy. Tell me, what do you want to bet on? Ashley said with a busy smile, anyway, Grace is isolated and helpless now, no one will help her anymore. So let's bet on her death. This way, she'll have no choice but to stay home and rely on you, Ethan, to live. Isn't this what you've always wanted? Why don't you, Ethan, put all your assets on the line as a bet for me? We're sure to win this one. Ethan hesitated for a moment but still nodded and agreed. Ashley hastily typed the numbers in the comment section. I'm betting 200 million on Grace dying. The moment she typed, the mutated dog in front of me lunged at me again. I dodged quickly, but my arm was grazed by the vicious dog. Ethan, to torment me, turned the temperature down to freezing, and the hungry vicious dog became more and more excited. Suddenly, a discordant comment appeared in the comments. I'll bet $1 billion on Grace living a long life. A faint smile tugged at my lips. I secretly grumbled in my heart, if you have time for this, you'd better come rescue me quickly. The vicious dog, having tasted fresh blood, became even more aggressive, kicking off its hind legs and lunging at me again. This lab was designed by me, detail by detail. How could I possibly die in a lab I painstakingly built myself? My dodge just now was merely to switch positions with the vicious dog. The vicious dog's gaping mouth, baring its huge teeth, loomed larger in front of me. In an instant, I pressed deep into a wall brick, pulled out a large knife, and fiercely slashed at the vicious dog's neck. Foul-smelling blood stained my neck and right cheek. Then, with a thump, the vicious dog's head dropped straight to the ground. Staring at the camera, I said word by word, Ethan, you lost your bet. The comments instantly exploded. Is there a bounty system? I want to place a bounty. This is a pig butchering scam run by that guy, Yi, to swindle our money. Exactly. Otherwise, how could he be so cruel to his own wife? They're two of a kind. The couple must be scamming us together. The mysterious person from before posted a comment. I told you Grace would win. His luck in gambling had always been good. When we broke up back then, he said I would lose, and indeed, I've truly lost now. Faced with a screen full of rage, Ethan suddenly panicked. Don't worry, everyone, there's more excitement to come. The robot that dragged me away earlier came back in. I was again hauled to a pitch-black basement, and the basement door opened from the floor. The hissing sound of snake tongues drifted to me, and my whole body was covered in goosebumps. Ethan, you can't do this to me. He definitely won't let you off the hook. Ethan scoffed. Grace, when will you ever change that spoiled rich girl attitude of yours? Your family company went bankrupt long ago, and your Daniel and Emily died long ago. Who else would let me off the hook for your sake? Smelling the scent of blood, the snakes in the pit pushed their bellies out and scrambled upwards, vying for first place. Just as the robot was about to throw me down, the sound of gunfire suddenly filled the lab. The basement door slammed shut with a whoosh. The first snake that emerged had its neck snapped by the door crack and fell in front of me, and the robot controlling me instantly activated self-destruct mode. You animal, your Liam isn't dead yet. Liam's voice came. He rushed towards me like a gust of wind, a soft blanket draping over me like a cloud. He gently embraced me, as if afraid that a single movement might hurt me. I told you you'd lose. Now you know, don't you? He was verbally sharp, but tears shamelessly slid from the corners of his eyes, dripping down his cheeks and onto my neck. I said weakly, I know I was wrong. He cried even harder, his voice hoarse. It's not your fault, he's just too good at pretending. If anyone's to blame, it should be me. I should have knocked you out and taken you away back then, and not let you marry him. When appeared before Ethan, holding me, Ethan's eyes were filled with astonishment. Didn't you and Liam break up? Bitch. You dared to marry me while still involved with Liam? Liam's face was revealed on camera, and the live stream chat instantly became a chaotic mess. Is that Liam, the heir of the CA in Weston, who owns the largest private army? Holy crap, Grace has connections like this? Wrong, it's Dr. Grace. Quick, let's clear out. Once he finds out our real identities, none of us will survive. Liam looked at the comments and said coldly, do you all think you can still run away now? Today, without my permission, anyone who dares to leave will bear the consequences. Liam lowered his eyes and glanced at Ethan, who was still spouting nonsense. His subordinate understood and slapped Ethan across the face. Bastard, you'd better watch your language, or I wouldn't mind just slicing it off for you. He gently placed me on a chair, then kicked Ethan in the chest. Didn't you want tenfold repayment? I'll make sure you get it. With a single glance from Liam, his subordinates grabbed Ethan and Ashley and walked towards the depths of the lab. The live stream was still ongoing, only the people had changed to the two of them. Ashley's pleas for mercy rang out, so loud they hurt my ears. Grace, if you want to punish someone, punishing Ethan alone is enough. Why punish me? It wasn't me who locked you in. E.T. Han looked at her in astonishment. Ashley, are you so eager to clear your name? If it weren't to get revenge for you, why would I punish my own wife? Ashley looked at him with sinister eyes. Don't make it sound so high-sounding. You're the one who lacks integrity as a man. You enjoyed the money and power she gave you, yet you hated the stigma of being a kept man or an ungrateful opportunist that came with relying on her. You just had to bring me back to your side to prove your pathetic bit of dignity. You are the real culprit." Ethan's face was full of disappointment. "Ashley, when did you become like this?" Ashley said brazenly, "I've always been like this. You were just blind and didn't notice." The comments began to bet on who would die first between the two of them. But besides me designing this lab, Ethan also frequently visited, so how could he really die inside? After dealing with them, Liam carried me and walked outside. My mind grew hazier and hazier, and I couldn't keep my eyes open. He gently shook me. "Grace, don't you dare sleep. If you dare, I'll immediately leave you here and go by myself." His temper still hadn't changed. He loved to threaten people when he got anxious. When I woke up again, I was in the hospital. Liam lay in front of me, his eyes dark with fatigue. I gently stroked the loose strands of hair on his forehead, and he suddenly woke with a start, looking at me like a lost treasure he had found again. "You're awake. If you didn't wake up soon, I would have gone and chopped up Ethan tonight." I smiled faintly and asked, "How many days has it been?" He said indignantly, "That animal Ethan, how dare he bully you so much that it took you 2 days to wake up. I'm determined to grant his wish and make him pay back tenfold." 6. "So you haven't slept in 2 days?" He suddenly fell silent, then nodded. Then he flared up again. "This time, no matter what, you must divorce Ethan. Otherwise, I'll tie you up and drag you back to Weston." I smile. Ed faintly. "Don't worry, this time, I've truly woken up. I'll just have to trouble you to hurry things along. I want to cut all ties with him tomorrow." He nodded in satisfaction, then called the doctor to check my injuries. The next evening, I saw Ethan again. His apple bobbed a few times, and in the end, he still asked that question. "Grace, can we really not start over? We've been married for 3 years. Don't you have any lingering feelings?" "Believe me, I'm still the same Ethan I used to be. That day, I was just deceived by Ashley. I apologize to you." I took a deep breath, barely keeping myself from losing my composure. "Look at all these scars on my body. When you locked me in the lab for that bitch, did you consider our past affection? Deceived? If you didn't agree, could she deceive you? It was you who said she had no one to rely on and insisted on bringing her to Capital City. Now you're saying she deceived you first? Ethan, you disgust me." Liam, who had rushed over, happened to witness this scene. He placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder, and Ethan's shirt instantly became soaked, clearly indicating he had suffered quite a bit that day. "Ethan, if you drag this out any longer, I guarantee you won't see tomorrow's sun." Ethan looked reluctant but still signed the divorce agreement. As soon as the official stamp was put on it, Liam tucked the divorce papers into his pocket and carried me into the car. Before getting into the car, I tugged on his sleeve, and he stopped in front of the door. I looked at the distraught Ethan and said calmly, "I suggest you thoroughly investigate your Ashley. Grace, never deny what I've done, but don't even think about blaming me for what I haven't done. As for whether the hallucinogen really leaked that day, you should know the score." It was the 5th day since Ashley had seen Ethan again. That day, in a fit of panic, she had blamed all the wrongdoing on Ethan, thinking he would never want to see her again in his life. To her surprise, he still came. She knew Ethan couldn't let go of her. He couldn't let go 3 years ago, and he still couldn't let go now. She ran over and hugged Ethan's arm, acting flirtatious as usual. "Ethan, you're finally here. I thought you were really angry with me. What I did that day was just human nature. You'll forgive me, won't you?" But this time, Ethan brushed her hand away. "Ashley, what exactly happened in the lab that night? Are you going to tell me yourself, or should I tell you?" Ashley was startled by his sudden change of expression. "What are you saying, Ethan?" Ashley doesn't understand. Ethan pushed her away, and she lost her balance, stumbling to the ground. But this time, there was no pity in Ethan's eyes. "Are you going to keep lying? Since you won't say it, I'll say it for you. 3 years ago, when I brought you to Capital City, I told you not to overstep. It was you who crossed the line again and again. I indulged you so many times, and this time, you're still trying to deceive me." Ashley looked at him, her eyes misty with tears. "But, you were the one who overstepped first. Since you were unwilling, why didn't you push me away when I first kissed you? Since you had no feelings for me, why did you always indulge me when I deliberately made things difficult for Grace so many times, never criticizing me even once?" Ethan was rendered speechless by the question. After a long silence, he finally spoke in a low voice, I truly wronged Grace. But if you hadn't insisted on flaunting yourself in front of me, how would I have hurt Grace to this extent? 7. He squeezed Ashley's wrist tightly. I indulged you so many times, but you absolutely should not have slandered her. There was no reagent leak in the lab that night at all. Those scratches were just you deliberately scratching yourself to fake misery and gain my sympathy, weren't they? No wonder you deleted all the lab surveillance footage from that night, claiming you didn't want your miserable appearance to be spread. In fact, it was all a lie. You were just afraid of your scheme to frame Grace being discovered. With her lie exposed, Ashley instead lost her panic. She scoffed lightly, but even such a clumsy lie, you still believed it, didn't you? Ethan pushed her away. You're talking nonsense. I don't love you. The one I've always loved is only Grace. You're the one who deserves to die the most. Grace was so good to you, not only letting you live in her home but also picking you up and dropping you off for work every day. Just because she had a sudden bout of gastritis and had to go to the hospital, you framed her? Ashley, you're terrifying. Ashley suddenly stood up like a madwoman, pointing at Ethan's nose bridge and cursing. I'm terrifying? Aren't you terrifying? Grace strategized every step for you, essentially giving you a new lease on life. But what about you? Just based on a single lie from me, you threw her into the lab. Ask yourself, didn't you just want her to kneel at your feet and beg for mercy, to reclaim your pathetic sense of self-respect? Ethan smiled bitterly. Shut up. I will atone for my sins to Grace myself. As for you, you must pay the price for what you've done. The lab's glass containers are all non-toxic and sterile, so why would Grace fall unconscious for 2 days just from a graze? It was you soaked those containers in scorpion venom beforehand. It was you who guided me step by step to torment and harm her. Since you like scorpion venom so much, I'll let you have your fill of it. He called out towards the door. Come in. Throw her into the black scorpion pit. Have a doctor watching her at all times. Just keep her alive. Ashley was quickly dragged away, her raw, desperate curses echoing in the hallway. Ethan, you can't do this to me. You heartless animal, have you forgotten you said you'd never hurt me? But didn't listen to any of it. Men are like this, when they love you, you're the apple of their eye, when they don't, you're more worthless than weeds. Ethan had burned his bridges. The video of Ashley being thrown into the scorpion pit was live-streamed across the entire internet. Isn't that Eternity Chief Assistant? How could she be thrown into her own lab? This is illegal. Eternity Boss is too bold. Commenter above, have you forgotten? What is the law to a domineering CEO? Everyone, calm down first. I heard this assistant is the other woman. Not only did she steal someone's husband, but she also slandered her, claiming she was thrown into the lab to suffer torment from hallucinogens. I have the video. If you want it, type 1 to direct message me. Damn, I was just sympathizing with her. Now, looking at this, it's too lenient on her. All the other women and scumbags in the world deserve to be dismembered. Liam turned around and quietly dialed a number. Didn't I tell you to clean up that night's video? How is it still there? The sound of keyboard typing, and soon a reply came from the other end of the line. Young, that ID is for traffic redirection. All livestream videos of Miss have been confirmed to be cleaned up. Only then did he relax, nonchalantly bringing in a fruit platter. Try my freshly cut ones. I took his hand and said sincerely, thank you, Liam. He pursed his lips and suddenly said, I don't want your thanks. Then what do you want? He knelt in front of me, looking up at me. I want you to love me. I smiled faintly, bent down, and kissed his lips. 8. I saw Ethan again. It was clear he had dressed up specifically, but he couldn't hide the weariness and exhaustion on his face. Grace, I was blind and caused you so much suffering. I don't ask for your forgiveness, but I just want to ask you one thing. If we could start over, would you still love me? I turned my head and rolled my eyes. Ethan, are you sick in the head? Knowing you're an ungrateful wretch, you think I'd still love you if we started over? Am I stupid, or are you? He lowered his head and smiled bitterly, then looked up and met my gaze. Grace, I want to ask you something. Please answer me truthfully. That year, when I first met your Daniel and Emily, when they belittled me to worthlessness, did you also feel I disgraced you? I suddenly remembered the first time I brought him home. Daniel took me to the study and yelled at me, pointing at my nose. You've forgotten how many tragedies result from mismatched backgrounds, haven't you? Do you really think he loves you? All he loves are the resources and money you can bring him. At that time, I was blinded by what I thought was love, and I yelled at Daniel. he's not just some poor kid. He has grand ambitions, the same ideal of dedicating himself to scientific research as I do. He's the only person in this world who's on the same wavelength as me. We're meant to be. If he hadn't been born into the wrong circumstances, if he hadn't been born in a rural area, I would have married him as soon as I reached legal age. Daniel couldn't argue with me, and couldn't bear to blame me too much, so he just put a lot of pressure on him at the dinner table. At that time, Daniel must have had hopes for him too, hoping he truly was, as I said, someone on the same wavelength as me, and would treat me well for life. But to him, all of this was humiliation. Daniel and Emily hoped he would be good to me. How could they humiliate him? I suddenly found it amusing. Ethan, in the past, I never thought liking you was shameful. My parents never thought you were a terrible person. Their only concern was whether you could treat me well for life. But now, it seems I indeed gave them cause for concern. Daniel was right. Mismatched backgrounds don't lead to happiness, and I've certainly experienced that firsthand. Ethan smiled bitterly, took a gift box from his pants pocket and slipped it into my hand. I bought this bracelet that day intending to give it to you. It's just the what happened afterward. I wrongly blamed you. I'm sorry. I threw the gift box back into his arms, but he suddenly gripped my hand tightly. If you don't take it, I won't leave today. Saying that, he knelt straight down. Men really love to use this trick of playing the victim. It's not that they genuinely regret the mistakes they've made, they just want to take advantage of women's sympathy. The reason it always works is simply because I once loved him more than myself. Now, there's no place for him in my heart anymore, so even if he knelt here until he died, it wouldn't affect me at all. I threw the gift box fiercely onto the ground. Kneel for as long as you like, what does it have to do with me? Ethan, to be honest, I truly despise you now. The first thing a qualified ex-husband should do is not to bother his ex. Clearly, a terrible person like you wouldn't understand that. The sun had already moved from east to west, and Ethan still knelt there, motionless. I turned to call the butler to dismiss him, but as I turned, I fell into a gentle embrace. Liam held me in his arms. I looked over his shoulder, and Ethan was no longer there. He pulled my gaze back. What are you looking at? That guy, he's annoying just to look at. If he really wants to kneel, he should go kneel on the street with a sign. What's the point of kneeling here, bothering your eyes? Sure enough, that very night, the hashtag #EternityLabskjok Nielsen Street begging for forgiveness hashtag went viral. Liam nonchalantly warmed milk for me, but his eyes, occasionally glancing at the screen, still gave him away. "9 You did this?" he mumbled. "Doesn't he love to perform?" I just said if he had the guts, he should go kneel on the street. How was I to know he'd actually go? That's typical attention-seeking behavior. He was right about that. Ethan indeed has attention-seeking behavior. It's my fault I was blinded by love before and couldn't see clearly. I wrapped my arms around his waist and gently pecked his cheek. Actually, there's a question I've always wanted to ask you. When did our Liam start liking me? He gently flicked my forehead. You're so thoughtless, Grace. Or is it just with me? You're incredibly considerate when it comes to Ethan. I gave a helpless smile, lightly shaking him, wanting an answer. We're not related, and back then, you insisted on marrying Ethan. Why would I cause a scene with you for no reason? I told you I liked you back then, but you didn't believe me. You thought I was just messing with you. And you cut ties with me just because I said a few harsh words about Ethan. Have you forgotten all that? Honestly, you were really prioritizing romance over friendship back then. I bet then that Ethan was no good. Look, now you've lost, haven't you? As he spoke, he grew more and more indignant, setting me down on the couch and then sitting by himself on the side, arms crossed, sulking. So when did you start liking me? That question infuriated me, and I also crossed my arms, sitting on the other side of the couch, huffing. How dare you bring that up? I confessed my feelings to you on my 18th birthday, and not only did you reject me, you walked off with another girl right after. You have no idea how long I cried that night. You were the esteemed young Liam. How could I have the nerve to keep hanging around you? At that, he lightly slapped his forehead. So you weren't joking that year. But who confesses on April's Day? You're the daughter of a distinguished scholarly family, unlike my family who constantly faces danger and lives a precarious life. Mr. Daniel and Mrs. Emily would never have agreed to entrust you to me. How could I dare to believe you? The more he talked, the angrier I got. So it was my fault, then. Seeing my displeasure, he slowly moved closer and gently patted my shoulder. It was my fault. I blame myself for not having the courage to believe you then. This time, will you give me another chance? How about this, you? VE always called me Big Brother since we were little. From now on, what if I called you Big Sister instead? Big Sister, please be sweet to me and forgive me this one time. The big tough guy pouted, and it was hard for me not to laugh. Seeing me laugh, he quickly pulled me into his embrace, kissing my forehead repeatedly. Fine. He was only born a day before me, yet he'd been bugging me to call him Big Brother since we were kids. Now, for the rest of his life, he'd have to call me Big Sister. In the blink of an eye, over half a month had passed. Since all my work was in Capital City, Liam moved his entire operation from Weston to Capital City. The first thing he did every day after work was to pick me up from the lab. He was initially furious and wanted to demolish and rebuild the lab, but I stopped him. It was the people who did wrong, never these inanimate things. If it weren't for Ethan and Ashley, this lab would have been the most perfect biochemical laboratory in the world. Finally, swayed by my persuasion, he gave up the idea, only changing the name from the original Eternity to the current Grace. On the day of the rebranding ceremony, he held my hand and whispered, "From now on, with me by your side, just do what you want to do. I'll protect your peace and happiness." I trusted him. He had never let me get hurt since we were kids, even when I cut ties with him over Ethan and said I never wanted to see him again. But with a single phone call from me, he still rushed to my side as quickly as possible. How could I not be moved by such a person? I was still sound asleep, but Liam pulled me out of bed early that morning, helped me wash my face and brush my teeth, and even did my makeup. When we arrived at the jewelry store, the wall clock showed it was only 9 o'clock. I turned my head and whispered, "Liam, aren't we a bit too early?" Liam chuckled, "When it comes to marrying you, I only feel like it's overdue." Liam took out his ID to customer. The one-of-a-kind diamond ring for me. Suddenly, a chill ran down my spine. When I turned around, Ashley had already lunged in front of me, her face instantly magnified before my eyes. The dagger in her hand thrust violently towards me. In the chaos, Liam spun around, cupped my head, and shielded me behind him. Remembering the glinting dagger in Ashley's hand, I quickly asked him, "Liam, are you okay?" His face instantly turned ashen, and he whispered to me, "I'm fine." But as I moved my hand upwards, I felt something sticky. I took my hand from his lower back, and my palm was already stained with his blood. Even as he lost consciousness, he still held me protectively in his arms. Chaos erupted at the counter, and Ashley brandished the knife like a madwoman. Seeing that I was unharmed, she became even more frantic, her emotions growing increasingly agitated. "Grace, why? Why are you born a wealthy heiress, receiving the best education since childhood, having the best man, and even Ethan, who grew up with me, loves you more? Since I can't have him, neither can you. It's you ruined Ethan. You deserve to die. If it weren't for you, Ethan wouldn't have lost everything. You destroyed him. It's a pity he's blind, still can't see clearly. He's actually kneeling in the streets just so you'll forgive him. He's the proud Ethan, how could he abandon his dignity for you? Grace, I'm going to kill you. Once I kill you, Ethan will only have me to love. As long as you're dead, he won't have to beg for forgiveness from anyone, and he'll be the same proud and arrogant Ethan he used to be." Her expression was distorted, her hair flying wildly, and she lunged at me like a madwoman, stabbing. Schlick. The imagined piercing pain didn't come. The dagger pierced through Ethan's entire left chest, blood gushing from him, splattering onto my pristine white dress. Ashley's sharp wail echoed, "Ethan! Why? Why are you still protecting her, even now? What does she have that's better and me?" Ethan gave a bitter smile, slowly turning his head to look at her. "Ashley, you're a good person, but the only one I love is Grace. Live well from now on, and don't be foolish again. For me, it's not worth it." With that, his eyes slowly closed before me. Ashley completely collapsed, cradling Ethan and sobbing uncontrollably. By the time the ambulance arrived, Ethan had already passed away. I had never imagined his end would be like this. Only later did I learn that he had already turned himself in that day, wanting only to see me one last time, but instead he encountered Ashley trying to assassinate me. After a day and a night of surgery, Liam finally woke up. He gently wiped away the tears from the corners of my eyes. His voice was still very weak, but I still heard him clearly. He said, "I promised to be with you for a lifetime. How could I let someone else take my place?" The next time I heard news about Ashley was during Liam and my honeymoon. According to the new assistant at the lab, she had become deranged less than half a year into her imprisonment, and eventually died of a high fever on a stormy night. Before she died, she kept calling out for Ethan, and of course, cursing me. But I had long since stopped caring about any of that. The past is gone and cannot be reclaimed. All I needed to hold on to was the warmth of Liam's hand in mine, and my own bright and brilliant future. Thank you for watching today's story. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.